again. If it's not okay, still okay. You see, again, this thing about mindfulness, I'm sorry, I know I keep harping on about this. Mindfulness is for you to learn to enjoy every moment, however it is. But what people use it for, when they don't get these instructions, and see, if you have these people who just take it and maybe they learn it in one weekend, and then they start offering it and leading retreats and asking for money, and there are people like this, and it really, I feel really sad about this. That this interest in people that they have to become happiness is exploited in such a way. So, if you don't get clear instructions, then very often people think, I practice mindfulness, then the negative feeling will go. No, you learn to enjoy the negative feeling. But it's the other way. I think all these negative things, depression, anger, and all this, it should go, and then I can be happy. You let it be, you let it there, and then you just keep your mind on it. And by keeping your mindfulness or your awareness on it, you make the step out of the negative emotion, and you're in your mindfulness. You become, the mind takes on the aspect of mindfulness and is watching whatever is going on. But you're not watching it because you want it to go away. You're not practicing patience because you want the thing to stop, because very often the pain stops when you say, okay, I just let it be, and all of a sudden the pain stops. So then one starts to use patience in order for the negative emotions to stop, isn't it? Like the motivation, and if it's still there after 3 hours, you go like, oh, it's not working. Instead of going, great, I can continue to practice patience. The moment the pain is gone, there's no more practicing of patience. So just be clear about this whole thing. When you think your practice is not working, because it doesn't make you feel good, the Buddha doesn't say the practice will make you feel good. That's the people who want to sell you these things. They say these things. Yeah? So, enjoy every moment. You learn to enjoy every moment. Why? Because you know it's impermanent. The good things, the bad things. So the good things, because we know they're impermanent, so of course we enjoy them, because otherwise they're gone and we haven't enjoyed them. And the bad things, we know we can also enjoy them. We can practice compassion. We can practice patience, endurance, courage. With the good moments, we don't learn anything. We just burn up positive karma. But again, don't go out to find the negative things. They will find you. Yeah. There's enough negative things in the world. This is what the Buddha says, dukkha. Yeah? Okay. So, apology. Yeah? One has a need all of a sudden, one sees that wants to go and say, I'm sorry. Inbal did that with the children. Yeah? Do you want to say what they said? Or how they reacted? Like, how old were they? From all ages, I think. Yeah? Oh, you need to shout almost so people hear you.
10 to 12. He said, some of them said it's, if I apologize, it means that I'm low.
Okay, maybe I repeat so you can hear at the back. She says, some of them said, I don't want to apologize because it makes me feel bad about myself or very low, like low self-esteem. Takes my dignity away.
It's not my dignity to say, it's like making me low, without dignity. And also, it means that I have to say my mistake again. If I have to apologize, so I'm saying that I did a mistake.
Yeah.
In front of this another child.
Uh-huh.
Wrong. I did something wrong again. I'm feeling
the shame and the guilt
again,
and
everything again.
Yeah.
And also they said they're afraid that if they do it, now they will do it again.
it will come back. Yeah,
again.
they will open the door because
Yeah.
it's true. This is, you give them, you know, you open up. It's like the dogs who have a lot of fear. It's two reactions in dogs. There's some that just open up and say, look, I'm not harming you, and others get aggressive. And the ones who get harmed are usually the ones who are aggressive. It's not that the ones who are aggressive are more protected than the ones who just open up and say, oh, you know, I'm afraid of you, I'm not doing anything to you.
So they were afraid of them.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what very often happens. This is what happens when somebody makes a mistake and admits it, and then, you know, there's all this anger coming, and then we are surprised when people hide their mistakes. So on one hand we want them to admit their mistakes, but then on the other hand then we get angry at them. So it's like, yeah, so make that your mantra. When somebody comes and says, I made a mistake, just say, it's okay, everybody makes mistakes. I know, I also don't like to make mistakes. Nobody likes to make mistakes. Yeah? Let's see what we can do now. This is a much better way of cooperating. Oh, by the way, before I forget, please, before you leave, I'm not saying you have to, but it would be very nice if you would leave your room the way it would make you happy if you were the cleaning woman. Do you understand what I'm saying? Take the garbage out, take the sheets off, leave it as clean as possible, because Sukkot is coming up, and sometimes I'm here over Sukkot. It's not like us. Most of the people that come, one night they go, one night they go, so they have a lot of work. So, you know, you might be a cleaning woman at one point, who knows, in one lifetime. Yeah? Then you will find customers like you, who make it easy for you. If you leave all your balagan behind, and believe me, people leave a lot of mess behind, totally inconsiderate. Also, what I forgot to mention, there is a recycling area here, which takes paper, plastic, metal, glass. It's not very far away, it's on the way to the dining room, 2 steps further. I forgot to tell you at the beginning, because for me it's obvious that one puts these things there, because I learned it as a kid. In Switzerland, we learned these things. You know, we have like white bottles, blue bottles, green bottles, and brown bottles. For each one a separate hole. And people are standing there looking at, practicing mindfulness with their garbage. You know, and it's great places because it's in town usually, and everything is together. You can have fantastic conversations there. You meet people there. They do the same thing. It's really nice. Everybody likes to go there. There's no, well, sometimes there is fighting when people don't put the right things in. Foreigners, they don't know. The refugees, they don't know. So then it creates problem, you know. We give them the money and they don't even put the bottle in the right hole. So even that can create a problem. But if you behave rightly and you put the things in the right hole, then there's a lot of harmony in these garbage places. Very nice. Even the garbage place can become happy. So please, I'm not saying you have to, but think like with the mind of a cleaning woman when you go out of your room. And not just here. Also in another when you go to a hotel or whatever. It's a really nice feeling when you leave the room. You check, is it okay? It's much better than to just go. Again, you see, you have so many opportunities to have a happy mind. You can rejoice that the cleaning woman will not have too much. And it's not going into arrogance, because she will not know who did it. She will not know that it was you. And we don't expect her to say thank you, because she doesn't know it is you. So we let go. We do an act of compassion and kindness without wanting anything back. So this is how we learn. This is what makes us free. Just the act is the happiness. The rest comes the thank you, it's okay. If not, so it's okay. Okay, so if you decide to go and apologize, you have to calculate, you have to think that the person will slam the door in your face and say, sorry, I will never see you again. Please forgive me, okay? The word forgive me has the word giving. So it's kind of unfair, because you are hurting somebody, and then you go there and say, please forgive me. That means, please forgive me and give me back my peace of mind because I hurt you. It would be much more skillful if you say, look, I know I hurt you. I'm really sorry. I also hurt because of, I feel bad about this. What can I do for you so I feel better? Because otherwise, forgive me, and then just, you get angry when they don't forgive you. This is what we do. It's like, it's too much. It's like going to the shop, taking something off the shelf. You go to the woman at the cashier and you say, oh look, sorry, I took this. I know it belongs to the shop, but well, I took it. I'm really sorry. Please forgive me. I mean, you would never do that. You have a debt towards that person that you hurt. And your consciousness knows it. That's why you feel bad about it. So you need to make up. So this is why when we did the purification practice, this whole thing, the promise to make amendments and to do something positive, doesn't have to be with that person. It can be with somebody else if you're afraid of that person. Let's say somebody else in your office is really pain in the neck, never pays for the coffee, always takes whatever coffee is being offered. Then you go for 1 week, very consciously, I pay for her coffee, without a bad feeling. For example, you decide your own punishment. So with the purification practices, you see, with spiritual practice is purification. So we want it to be pleasant. So that your punishment should be pleasant. And of course it's not working. Come on, you have to have a bit of suffering if you hurt somebody. You have to pay that debt. So when you have children, and we tried it, and it sometimes it works, not always. So please do not use all this on your children. Use it first for yourself. Okay? So when they do something that was not right, we give them the opportunity. We say, look, do you realize that what you did is not right? And then they're going, Then we say, okay, what do you think you could do to make up for it? We're not taking anything away from them. We give them the opportunity to amend, to pay back. So you can make suggestion. What about 1 week washing the dishes, and then we forget about the whole thing? Then they go, oof, that's a bit long. Then you can say, okay, 5 days, until you come to an agreement. Yeah? Because then one thing is, the kid is doing what he knows he should do, helping in the household, because it makes them happy. When kids happy voluntarily, they're very happy kids. And they made research in France, or was it in the States? No, I think it was in France, that very small children have natural altruism. They love to help until the moment you start to praise and reward them. Then they want reward. Otherwise, no. Otherwise, they stop. It's very interesting research. It was on Arte. I don't know if you have Arte in Israel. A TV channel that has really good programs like documentaries and science and all this. So it's on the French one, on the French Arte. So it's very interesting. Yeah. So give them so the same for you. Like, you feel bad about something, and this badness doesn't leave you. Do something. For example, very often abortion. Women feel, for the rest of their lives, they feel really bad about it. Yeah. So sometimes it is done out of selfish reasons, that's true, because it is like, oh, I can't be bothered with having kids. I was like this, and when I never had happy sexual relationships because I always was afraid to get pregnant. Because very consciously, I didn't want to have children. I thought I would be such a bad mother. I was still drinking at that time. And I had enough problems with myself. And I thought, what shall I do with children? I don't even know how to take care of myself. So this is why I stopped relationships because of that. I was too afraid, like sexual relationships, I was too afraid to get pregnant. I would have aborted without any second thought. So I'm very happy I never got pregnant. Because I can see when I have conversations with women, I can see what it does. So for example, if it happened, it happened. So again, Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Skillful means, okay? Relativity. This woman who had 2 abortions, She was like, her whole life seemed to be finished. She was devastated. She was full of guilt. She goes and sees Lamazow Rinpoche and asks for advice. He burst out laughing and he said, "What? If you would know what you've done in your previous lives, this is nothing." It's to make her feel relaxed about the whole thing. But if it is somebody who just has free sex here and there and just then has an abortion, he will not say these things. He will talk about hell realms and these kind of things for her to stop. But he could see that she would never do this again because she felt so bad and so guilty, so she needed to be able to relax. The Karmapa, His Holiness the Karmapa, when he was in Geneva, there's a question about negative karma, and he looked at us and he said, "Come on, relax. It's also impermanent, the results that come. Because the moment you start to feel guilt, you become a horrible person. Because why? Because you can, happiness for you is finished. You do not allow yourself to be happy, and then you get upset at the people around you when they are happy. You fall into depression because of your guilt, and you cannot bear when other people are happy around you. You get angry at them. So guilt is no good. It just blocks you. It's so stupid. But I think the ego-grasping mind, because it doesn't know what to do with this negative act, it doesn't know how to repay the debt, so it just feels guilty. Look, you don't even say to the other person, "Look, I feel bad." We then, on the outside, we behave as if everything is okay, isn't it? How many times have you gone to somebody that you have hurt and said, "Wow, I really feel bad about this. I feel so guilty." Have you done this?
Yeah.
Did they believe you? Yeah? Okay. And then what happened? They said, "You should." And they're right. You should. Because you hurt me. You can't get away just like this by asking for forgiveness. You need to do something. Our subtle consciousness knows that.
Sometimes acknowledgement is enough. Sometimes.
What?
If you acknowledge your own mistake, someone else feels better and they actually feel relief. They forgive you.
No, for you, I mean. For the
Both of us sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes for both.
But it's not really fair, is it?
What can you do sometimes?
Yeah, this is what I mean. Abortion, you can very consciously think, you look around in your neighborhood maybe, and you see a kid who is neglected, or the parents have no time for it, or whatever, and you engage without saying why, without, or take a kid in, who knows, in India or whatever, and you pay for their school, or not even one kid, but for many kids, for once, do something like that. Something that seems to counteract what you've done, if you cannot get rid of the guilt. If you can get rid of the guilt, it's fine. It's okay. Make a strong determination not to do it anymore. Yeah? But sometimes the guilt is lingering, and we think it's okay, but it's still not okay. Yeah? And sometimes it needs a long, long time, especially with abortion. I've known women who were never liberated from that bad feeling. And this is the problem. Before the abortion, people don't warn you what could be the consequence. They don't warn you. That's the problem. And then you carry it with you for the rest of your life. Okay, so you have to calculate, or you have to count with, if you go, you're very noble, you're very courageous, you come and say, "I'm sorry," but the person doesn't want to accept your apology. Can you accept that? Can you accept that? Difficult, isn't it? So you need to be prepared for that before you go, because you will go with an expectation that they say, yeah, don't worry, it's okay. But it's not okay. It is not. Now, you can say to the other person, yeah, don't worry, it's okay, as a spiritual practitioner, because you know how to deal with it. You have a view that you're not kind of schlepping that with you for the rest of your life, that hurt that has been inflicted on you. But also, you can also tell the other person, okay, it's okay, I worked with it. You know, the thing is, this happened to me. Somebody was kind of really not treating me very nicely, and I got upset and angry, and you know, a few days, and I was very insecure, and I didn't know what was happening, and blah blah. And then I started to kind of say the mantra in my mind, because I wanted to change her behavior, because I thought it was so unjust. But then I started to say to myself, I only have to take care of my own mind. I only have to take care of my own mind. I only have to take care of my own mind. Then the feeling of insecurity, it was only, you know, it wasn't beating. It was the way she treated me, as if I cannot do anything. And then I became like this. This was the funny thing. You know, I got so insecure, I made a lot of mistakes. And no acknowledgement whatever I did, and there was always, you know, like that. And then I asked, shall I do this or shall I do that first? He said, whatever you want. Like, not giving clear indications, but then also, see, I saw that she was annoyed with what I was doing, so whatever I would do, it annoyed her. So then I left, and for me it was okay, because I was not disappointed. I came there to help. I helped with a lot of money, came as a volunteer, and this is the way I was treated, so like, you know, I could, as a kind of normal person, you go away from there very hurt. But it's the first time it happened to me in my life. I really learned how to deal with these people who disliked me, by not being affected, by not being impressed, and by going out of their way. For me, it was a very valuable experience. I'm very thankful to her. And I'm not angry at her. I'm not disappointed, I'm not angry. But I see what she did was not right. It's still in the memory. But emotionally, there's nothing there. So then, for me, I could have left without any problems. But she wanted to talk to me. She was the head nun. And nuns, yeah, not the... So she was the head nun. And so I said, yeah, it's fine. So she said, oh, I know you wouldn't stay because I felt you were not happy. And I said, well, you know, the way you treated me, it's difficult to be happy. And so I said, but I've worked with it. For me, it's fine. I've no hard feelings. I'm not disappointed, nothing. And then she could open up and admit and say, yes, I'm sorry because I was in a bad state. Because she felt it was safe to open up. But still, then a few months later, all of a sudden, out of the blue almost, an email, I'm still waiting for your apology. Do you remember I was in your house? I was sleeping in your house. I spent a sleepless night, and it was during an 8 verses course. It was great. It was so perfect, the moment. So I was a sleepless night trying to explain myself, write emails in my mind, so that she could not shoot back. Okay? So I thought, no, if I write this, she says this. If I write that, she says this. Because she's a head nun, so she's a botany, and she's very clever also. She used to be a lawyer. So, like, you know, down. But I thought, come on, this is not right. And I on top of it, I already apologized when I left. You know, because when I was so insecure, I was also aggressive. And so, I didn't feel hurt. I was surprised. I didn't know what to do. And then in the morning meditation, I don't know where the thought came from. I took my telephone and I wrote an email and saying, I would like to apologize for having upset your mind. And that felt so good, to be able to say that. She thinks her story is true. I think my story is true. None of our stories is really true. And I'm sure they're totally opposite, you know. So I can stop holding on, I am right and she is wrong. We're both wrong. We both only see one side. And then I wrote, but I would like to end this on a good note. So next time I meet you, I can say hello with a relaxed mind. And that was it. And then she also wrote back a very nice email. So luckily it was in the middle of an 8 verses course, because I had been talking about this the whole day before, and I needed to talk about this the day after. So I had a perfect example how this works. That it makes you relax when you take the blame. Yeah? And stop blaming others. But the ego at the beginning is not happy. It wants to explain, it wants to justify itself, it wants to, vomit out the whole thing. So, but you need to take into consideration that they won't accept your apology. Now there's also can't remember from where it is, the 5 R's when you apologize. 5 R's, yeah?
Like rules?
R. R. Or you say more like, you don't say you say kind of, you say a little bit French and a little bit Italian, a mixture of both. It's quite difficult. In Switzerland, the very rich people from noble families use this R. That's the only way in Switzerland where you can see if somebody comes from a noble family. Otherwise they have the same dialect. Marina Meyer, they go like, and we say Marina Meyer. So then you see, oops, they are upper class. By the way they say the R. And then some people imitate. Not me. So, recognition is the first one. Recognition. You need to know what you're apologizing for, and do not use words like if I hurt you, because that means, oh, shouldn't be hurt, or but means you started it, or may, I may have hurt you, makes real into hypothetical. Or not using I, use I, otherwise you give away responsibility. I know I have hurt you. I am sorry. Okay? I know I have hurt you by doing this. Be very clear. Recognition. Yeah? That means that, so for that you need good communication, you need humility, transparency and accountability. Not kind of beating around the bush. Not taking things away and not adding. Honest, simple, straightforward. Trust. Accountability means people can trust you. Okay. So recognition. The recognition, what you're apologizing for, what the impact was on the victim, what social norm was violated, and what victim needs to hear that you know what you have done.
Be specific.
Huh?
Like to be specific about what was.
Well, you need to know that you don't need to say it, but you need to know. Recognition. You need to recognize these things. Second, responsibility. Push away all excuses and look into your heart. Is there really a wish to establish the relationship to the victim or not? If there's no wish, now you're the aggressor here, okay? Because also, when you have hurt somebody and you feel guilty and then you forget about it, but then the person is in the same room or in the same retreat, yeah, and sits next to you, that person is taking away all the space in your mind. But you would like to be separated from the person, and every time the person is somewhere near you, you feel bad, so then you start to turn it around. You forget that you started it, and you start to get angry at that person. They make me feel bad. And then there's no more wish to have contact. It's not only the victim who doesn't want to have contact with the aggressor, it's also the aggressor who doesn't want to have contact with the victim, because it reminds me of what I've done. So if you feel that, get out of their way. Don't come, I'm sorry, please forgive me. They don't want to have contact with you, or you don't have to have contact with them. Work on it. Far away. Am I being clear? Remorse. the wish to undo. The wish, you cannot undo remorse.
Like regret.
Remorse.
It's like regret.
Yeah, yeah, it's stronger than regret. Remorse is like you feel it in the heart. It's, you know, you've done something bad, so you're paining. There's a pain in the heart. Yeah, you feel bad about it. You want to make up. When we were doing the meditation, did you feel this wish that, oh, it should never have happened? When you were the one who was looking at the victim? Okay, so we cannot make it undone, but we can do something.
It's very close to guilt.
Yeah, but we need it, because otherwise okay, they choose to be hurt, let them be hurt. I cannot do anything about it. Don't be too afraid of your guilt, okay? You see, shame and embarrassment in Buddhism is a positive mental factor. And we go too far with it because we're guilty, I did, and we don't see the victim anymore. But to look at the victim and see that we made the victim suffer, it's okay to feel bad about this. Again, now for just a minute, become the victim. When you see your aggressor and they're happily going along and living their life, are you happy about this? Of course not. So again, they should have guilt, but I shouldn't. Well, what kind of reasoning is that? Yeah, remorse. Not guilt, I should not have done it, but hey, I feel bad about this. What can I do now? Making the step out of it. When we use guilt in general, we say, you stay there. And you only think, I should not have done it, I should not. When somebody commits suicide, the guilt trips that people play is amazing. They don't think about the person who's died. They only think about themselves. Why did I say this? Why did I not do this? Why did I see it? Why did I... It's not about you here. Somebody else has died. So then, as a Tibetan Buddhist, you go out, buy a lot of offerings, and if you don't know how to do pujas, you give it away to the homeless or something like that, in the name of that person. Or you do, as we did yesterday, Medicine Buddha Puja, for the person in the bardo. That gets rid of you, that gets rid of that bad feeling, and it helps the other person. You do something for the person who has gone. Feeling guilty doesn't help anybody. Okay? Restitution. Need to do something to restore the relationship. Could be that the victim doesn't want to have contact with you anymore. Restitution. Could also call it restoration, I think. Making up, repairing. Then the 5 is repetition. Promise not to repeat. The ability to learn from mistakes helps to break habits. Like, doesn't mean here repeat it again so that you can practice more. It means make a promise to yourself, I will not repeat it. You will still repeat because these are habits. So then when you know about karma, that karma also ripens on the level of habit, you will then understand why you repeat it even though you don't want to repeat it. And again you take a resolve, as we did in the purification meditation. For 5 minutes I'm not going to do this. Then for a day. Then you can extend. Whenever you feel you break the promise, you sit down, purify, make the resolution again. This is how you train the mind, bit by bit. We would like to make huge steps, so we only have to make one step. We will have to make many, many, many steps in this. Luckily, every year you have Yom Kippur. Do you still have your question?
Our case is when you have to do something which is unpleasant to the other person, or unpleasant to his views, and you get it not hurt by that,
can still say that you're sorry.
Deliberately not to harm him, or not
Yeah.
to hurt him, but was
Yeah, out of confusion, out of ignorance, out of stupidity.
confusion. No, not at all. That's not what I mean. Like if you are a manager, you have to fire someone.
Okay,
Well,
yeah, yeah,
You have to do it because you have all
yeah,
the
that's
reasons.
horrible.
Not always you can tell everything.
Yeah,
You have to the other person.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to choose the
yeah,
words.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Very,
yeah.
Then he got hurt. He got hurt.
Yes, of course.
And
Then put yourself in the person who lost his job and you think, what would help me now? That's it. That's it. It's not, again, don't take too much responsibility. What?
I have a story similar.
Okay.
I had a student that
Yeah.
when the dollar drops down and
Yeah.
imported a lot of stuff to America, the factory made a lot of money, but actually the money worth less. And they started to cut the extra
Yeah.
hours and the
Uh.
bonus for the managers, but it didn't help. It was too much.
Yeah.
Eventually he said to himself that he had to fire people who worked for him for over 15 years.
Yeah.
He said everyone is
It's
a great
terrible.
worker.
Yeah.
And I don't know who to send home, and it's
Yeah.
really hard for me. And he invited one of them to his office, and he said to him, look, the only things I can do is either fire everyone and break the factory totally, or trying to recover slowly, and I hope that it won't be too long, and I can get you back to work.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really sorry to send someone like you home.
Yeah.
I wish I could
Yeah.
keep with me. That's the only thing he could do.
Yeah.
He had to fire the people.
Yeah.
it's not the same example.
You know, this
No,
is,
no, I mean, someone that you think it's your responsibility, not because of breaking down the dollar or something
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
that, it's not the right person in the right place.
Oh, well, then just be honest and say, look, sorry, you're not the right person in the right place. It's fine.
Sorry?
That's fine. Compassion doesn't mean you let everybody do what they want to do. You keep a worker that is not able to do the job.
Yeah, but the result of it, this person got very
Yeah.
insulted or how to say, and then said, do I have to apologize? Do I have
No,
to
of
ask
course
for
not.
forgiveness? Do I have to?
Of course not.
Because he got hurt.
Of course not. Why would you? Why would you? You can try to help the person to grow and to do a better job if you're interested in that. It's like, okay, I'm not talking about these things, okay? When you have responsibility and he's not doing his job and you fire him and he gets angry, that's okay. If you feel bad about it, then you have to be careful that you're not taking his anger. This is what I'm saying. This is what happened to me in Spain, because, clearly in the eyes of this nun, I was not doing a good job there. She was afraid that I would take away some of her glory, I think. So anyway, this is my story. So there was kind of how to say, she got also angry at me, but I saw no reason why she was angry at me. So then I didn't take that anger. But then when she said, I'm waiting for an apology, I thought, well, if it helps her, I give her that apology. If you think it would help your worker to calm down, give him that apology. Because you have upset his mind. You see, what she is accusing me for, this I didn't do, but I have upset her mind. And you have upset the mind of that worker. And again, be careful. Buddhism, you don't have to do anything. This is not commandments. This is you decide if you want to do it or not. I'm not telling you what you have to do. You have to decide yourself. Yeah. It's not like maybe you used, I don't know, from your tradition that you go and ask the rabbi what you should do, and then he has a big book and he looks and then he gives you. Buddhism is not like this. Buddhism is not like this handbook. Buddhism gives you tools to see what helps in that situation so everybody can be relaxed and happy. This is what Buddhism is for. You know? I'm not telling anybody you have to go and apologize. No. Now there was a question about apology here, right at the beginning. Is what for forgiveness? Do you mean to forgive in your heart, or to do it with the person who has hurt you face to face? Well, if the person is asking for forgiveness, yeah, you can tell the person face to face. But if the person is showing no signs of regret, and you go there and say, oh, by the way, I forgive you, I don't think that's very skillful, to be honest. Because you're actually then accusing the person that they have hurt you, whereas they might not even know, or they don't want to acknowledge it. Do you see what I mean? But if the person is asking, saying, look, I'm really sorry, please forgive me, of course you can say it, you know. This is another thing, when somebody is dying, and they have hurt you, but they're just lying there and quite peaceful, and it's okay for them to go, and you come and you say, oh, by the way, what you did 20 years ago, I forgive you. People do these things, believe it or not. People do these things. It's not a joke.
No, it's not a joke in Israel. We had recently two people who died, Beres and another guy, and other people kept them memories from 20 years ago or something like they do not forgive them and say it aloud in the radio and the television.
I forgive you.
I don't know exactly.
Yeah, whatever. So, but people do it when the person is still alive. So that means all of a sudden they go like, you know, they get all of a sudden confused and they go like, what have I done? Or they remember something that they forgot, and then they feel really bad and have like a very not peaceful death. Confession at the time of death is very strong. But if you are with somebody who is dying and you feel that they're very restless, because as we discovered already, the children know it's difficult to confess. You know, when this person doesn't come to confess to you, please recognize the fact how difficult it is to confess. And the kids say it very clearly, makes me feel low, makes me feel guilty, I'm afraid of the victim, I lose my power, I lose my dignity. All of this is so true. The kids say it, we don't say it, but we hold it. So then they hold it, they hold it, they hold it, and you see at the time of death kind of, the mind is not so strong anymore to keep it down. So it comes up and you feel them being very restless. And that's good if it's a neutral person, and if possible a spiritual person can do it, because somebody that they trust. And it's very good, or you know, you do the spiritual care with dying people. Yeah. So if you see the person very restless, you can really ask very gently, is there anything that you would like to say that you haven't said to anybody? And very often it just comes out like this. And it's such a relief for them. This is why when you are holding guilt feelings, you need to go and confess to somebody now. Because you might not have that person at your deathbed who's asking that question. You know, we could do a whole week, we could continue on guilt. Guilt wants to hide because it is afraid of these consequences. Humility, being hurt, getting angry at. In order to hide it, then there's the fear of it coming up. So you have guilt and fear, already two things. Then is the lying going on to yourself and to others. So then again, third thing. Then you disconnect from others because you're afraid that it comes out. Then you get lonely. And then you get angry and depressed because you're not connected to others anymore. The moment you're able to say to somebody that you trust, and you ask first, because you know sometimes it's not very easy to listen to confessions.